Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Siphumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. If you want to be a part of this technology conversation, you can use the hashtag SABC Network. You can also find us on SABC Network. That's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can email newsnetwork@sabc.co.za as well. Here's what's coming up in the program. We will find out how Google wants to help in maths and science learning in South Africa. We'll also discuss how mathematics low pass rates contribute to the country's innovation challenges. Our discussion with the University of Johannesburg's Dr. Edmar Mare looks at Zimbabwe and social media regulation. Hello and welcome to Network, sir.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Is social media used a lot in political discourse in Zimbabwe?
Yes, but in very creative and muted ways, I would say.
All right, we'll chat about that later in the program. First, let's get to your technology and social media news. Now, to assist in the fight to improve maths and science education, Google has teamed up with the creators of the Siyavula app. They will be creating new content in Nigeria and South Africa. Foam and playing with fire are two things that these students enjoy. They say they love maths and science.
It's just learning more about what we have around us.
I love physical sciences because we apply most of the things in our everyday lives.
Students who are brilliant in these subjects can go on to create some of the technologies of the future. But not everyone loves maths and science. In the 2016 World Economic Forum Global Information Technology Report, South Africa was ranked a terrible number 137 out of 139 countries. To try and help, Google has partnered with a maths and science learning education program, Siyavula.
We granted them, as well as Gidi Mobile from Nigeria, $2.5 million to actually launch very innovative technologies to get students accessing textbooks and education online.
Siyavula is an app that works with maths and science problems. It works on smartphones and feature phones.
At home, I use my mother's phone, and then at school, I use a computer.
Teachers who are using it to assist them in class say it's already helping a lot.
Then once we use Siyavula, then every single day learners can do millions of questions, whereas they can see their mistakes, they can see their improvements, and they can also see where they did wrong. And then that actually helps them mentally to see, okay, fine, if I'm doing this question, that's the approach that I must take.
They have the program in their cell phones. They practice everything from their cell phones without being worried about data and all those things because they are supplied by Siyavula.
Siyavula says the partnership will go a long way in helping them with the work that they do.
We're going to pick 150,000 from low fee or no fee schools to get full access for 2018. In addition to that, we're going to be able to make free and open textbooks and concept maps for the last 6 years of general mathematics in Nigeria.
Using the app is free on the MTN and Vodacom networks. The number of matric pupils nationally who pass mathematics and physical science by at least 50% remains very low. Now, according to the outcomes of research by Science, Technology and Innovation, which was released in Pretoria, this is a part of the reasons why innovation remains a big challenge in South Africa.
Science and innovation are central in advancing world economies, but South Africa faces the challenge of producing scientific innovators.
We are concerned with the lack of progress being achieved in terms of science and mathematics outcomes at school level and even at early childhood development level, which are feeding through into constraining the extent to which we are developing skills.
Despite these challenges, the National Advisory Council on Innovation says there are more women pursuing various scientific fields.
We are producing far more graduates, and particularly women and black graduates than ever before, including PhDs, and particularly in scarce skills areas like engineering.
The council was established by the Science and Technology Department to advise on policies related to science and innovation.
Everyone is looking to innovation to help them with economic growth, and in that race for South Africa needs to do a lot more to catch up, including actions that needs to be done by government as well as the private sector.
The 2016 STI Indicators Report aims to provide necessary input to the current policy development process.
Congo is introducing biometric passports. These are fast becoming the norm in the rest of the world, but many in that country are resisting these passports with the new technology.
A sudden decision forcing all Congolese nationals to travel on biometric passports from next month has provoked a backlash from lawmakers already vexed by revelations about the document's high cost. In Kinshasa, travel agents say they're scrambling to help their customers, many of which will be stranded abroad if the ban comes into effect on October 16th.
I wonder what's going to happen to those who are already outside the country and will be coming back on the 16th of October. For example, those who travel to the US and will be traveling back via Belgium or France. We really don't know what's going to happen to them.
Even though the Democratic Republic of Congo sits near the bottom of the UN Human Development Index, the passports it introduced in 2015 are amongst the world's most expensive.
We're all being penalized because we have a passport that we bought 2 years ago, a passport that's still valid until 2020. But today they're telling us that our passports are invalid, and that scares us. Because it's costly, and now we have to find money to buy a new passport while we already have one that is valid.
Despite a subsequent outcry, Vice Foreign Minister Ajiaje Matembo Toto said from October 16th, citizens would no longer be able to use non-biometric passports, some of which are not due to expire until 2020.
I don't think these passports will be invalid. And I can bet that the government will have to postpone this nonsensical decision, which has created a lot of debate. But if it's compulsory for those who have to travel to get the new passport, then it will cost a lot. And they'll be forced to spend a lot to acquire a new passport.
Le hold-up, ce sera un simple racket.
According to a Reuters report published in April this year, much of the money to acquire the new passport does not go to the state. Instead, millions of dollars go to a private company in the Gulf, and sources say it is owned by a relative of President Kabila.
After the break, we'll chat about Zimbabwe and social media. Dr. Edma Amade from the University of Johannesburg is already in studio for that one. Stay with us.
Did you know that hippopotamus are susceptible to sunburn and spend most of their sunny days with only their noses out of the water whilst the rest of their body is immersed in water? Their noses have special flaps that close when submerged and can stay underwater for 25 minutes. The hippopotamus is the third largest living land mammal after the elephant and the white rhino. The hippo is 13 feet long and up to 5 feet tall, and the female weighs up to 655 kilograms. The hippopotamus is a grazer, eats up to 40 kilograms of grass at night, and it has a life expectancy of only 50 years.
The Law Society has slammed notices sent to 4 universities to jack up standards or risk losing their LLB courses. The Council on Higher Education issued a stern warning to the universities to conform within 6 months.
I think it will affect the university. I think outside the law faculty, there's a funding issue.
It's been 112 years since Enoch Sontonga died as a relatively unknown composer, choir master and teacher. But today his legacy lives on through his greatest composition, Nkosi Sikeleli Afrika.
For all your news updates, stay tuned to Your World from Monday to Sunday.
It is the SABC network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Welcome back to the program. Now, Zimbabwe has been experiencing dollar currency shortages and food shortages. There's reported panic buying in the southern African country. As per usual, people have taken to social media to share their views about the hardships. Now, the Zimbabwean government has warned that it will crack down on people who are using social media to spread this information. It says these details are mere false rumors. Finance Minister Patrick Chinamasa has been quoted saying these shortages are artificial. During the 2016 anti-government protests, the Postal and Telecommunications Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe, POTRAS, also said it would deal with people who are misusing social media. Now, joining me in studio to discuss this further is Dr. Edmaya Mare. He is a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Johannesburg's Media Department. Dr. Mare has written in a book about the usage of social media as a tool for political discourse in Zimbabwe. Hello, and thank you for being a part of our network, Dr. Mare.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Now, when did social media start being used as a tool for political discourse in Zimbabwe?
I would say right around 2009 to 2010, because that's when we introduced the 3G technology, which allowed so many people to have access to mobile phones and also even access to social media. So during that time, that's when we began to see more and more people coming on board online.
That's when Facebook started becoming popular as well in Africa. Was there anything significant happening in the political landscape of Zimbabwe?
Yes, one would say that, because remember, it was during that time when the GNU was just being formed, and we also had an inclusive government because of that. So actually there were so many things that were happening in terms of people having hopes about, the GNU actually going to stabilize things in Zimbabwe, bring about order after a decade of massive economic decay.
So you'd say the government of national unity was the main chatting point when people were discussing politics of the country?
Exactly, one would say that. Actually, remember, during that time also, Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai also introduced a website which was very interactive, so people were going online and discussing about what they wanted to be sorted by the government of national unity during that time.
At that particular time, when social media was becoming popular, when 3G was still a relatively new thing in Zimbabwe, how was the government responding to discourse online about the happenings of the country?
During that time, the government had a license-free attitude towards the social media and even online. During that time, we didn't even hear anybody being arrested. During that time, again, remember, because of the government national unity, the government was pretty much comfortable dealing with social media because people were not really actually, engage in what one can actually say is creative insurgents, so to speak.
How was the government's attitude to traditional media then at that time?
Obviously, the de facto, the de facto opposition of the government of Zimbabwe has always been to repress, the independent voices, especially independent media, independent print and broadcast. So they've always been trying to repress, and they continue to do that even during that time.
When would you say was the turning point in Zimbabwe, when the government then switched from just focusing on traditional media to now focusing on people uploading content on social media as well?
I think the Arab Spring was the turning point.
Because that would be around 2011.
2011, 2012. That was the turning point. That's when we saw the first person actually being arrested for actually posting something online. And during that time, we also began to see more and more government people coming on board, discussing, talking about social media and saying that if you are found, posting things that are politically incorrect, the government would clamp down on you. It was during that time.
So would you then say that the Arab Spring brought fear? Because, for example, we saw Hosni Mubarak in Egypt resign because of what was called a protest that was organized on Twitter.
Yes, indeed. Actually, I think it sends shockwaves throughout the world, and even in Africa, where most of the people that are actually running our countries are actually have got this big man mentality. So actually, the Arab Spring actually gave us an impetus that you could actually be able to use these tools actually to speak against those in power.
Who was that person that was arrested, and what was it for?
It was this guy by the name Vikas Mafudzi. He was arrested for posting something, on Facebook, saying that Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai, we can actually emulate what has actually happened in Egypt during that time.
In your writings and in the book, you have used the example of Baba Chukwa, which was a popular page on Facebook. What was the situation around that Facebook page?
Yeah, Baba Jukwa came just before the 2013 elections, and he became a very big hit in terms of online and also being a viral content that he also was able to produce. But also what was quite unique about Baba Jukwa was that he was able to actually, for the first time, actually lay bare, the deep-seated nature of political revulsions within ZANU-PF, and also making sure that people also understand the goings-on that actually happens in ZANU-PF. So he was actually bringing out the dirty in public, and it was quite unique.
It still was an anonymous page, though, because people were arrested, but they never really found the person behind the Facebook page.
Yes, a couple of people were arrested. One of them, Edmund Kudza, he was once an editor of the Sunday Mail, was also arrested, but the state couldn't prove its case beyond any reasonable doubt, and therefore it was thrown out of the courts.
And what's happening now in Zimbabwe? The government has said that people are spreading misinformation. Is it misinformation that people are spreading on social media?
I would say both real information and misinformation. I would say that because we have also seen a lot of fake news actually also being circulated on these platforms, but we have also seen real news, because really we need not to hide. The crisis is there for everyone to see. Zimbabwe has been going through a crisis, and the crisis has been there for almost 2 decades now. Recent weeks we have seen the resurgence of this this crisis in terms of food shortages and also fuel shortages, and we've also seen the bond not actually losing value against major currencies, and that is also brought fears that we are back to 2008.
And should then social media be used as a tool for political discourse if you say that there's misinformation as well in Zimbabwe?
I would say yes, but I would say everything is, as much as we have got all technologies, can be used for bad and can also be used for good. But for the good, I think in terms of political protest and also in terms of political discourse, social media remains very important.
All right, Dr. Enma Amare from the University of Johannesburg's Media School, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right. Now, this week we caught up with Sauti Soul's Willis Chimano, and he told us what his favorite technology is.
I'm Chimano from Sauti Soul, and my favorite piece of technology is, I'm a car fanatic, so cars, and just being able to have the screen there and being able to operate it from for anything in the car, from calling to radio to just anything through voice command. That's amazing. That's an amazing thing.
We are your eyes in all major events around the world.
A wonder not seen in the United States in almost 100 years.
It looks like the sky of a different world. You see the stars out during the day. You see a sunset 360 degrees all around you.
Before you leave, make sure that Rob Byrne is taking you through traffic alert all around South Africa.
All we can do is stick to what we do and focus on our own job and not focus on them.
The Boks will also don the red jersey in this match to mark the 25th anniversary of rugby unity in South Africa.
An update on all major currency to guide you. A story of women in jail told in pictures by Fatima Mir through art that will blow your mind. Set the agenda for the day with Morning Live.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Welcome back. Now, Dubai is planning on being the first country to have drone taxi services, and virtual reality is growing in Japan's adult content industry. These are some of the stories that made international tech headlines in the last week.
Dubai last week showcased a flight for what it said would soon be the world's first drone taxi services under an ambitious plan by the United Arab Emirates city to lead the Arab world in innovation.
Now I think the point which we reached is a historical point because this is where it's a start point for really coming up with a product which can be used in 5 years. But there is a lot to be done in 5 years in terms of infrastructure, technology and others, because if we don't make this ready, we cannot risk the people's life like this. Everything has to be done according to specification.
The UAE has sought to distinguish itself in a region marred in war and strife as a high-tech, forward-looking society. It plans to send an unmanned probe to Mars by 2021, the Arab world's first mission to space. And off we go to Japan. Let's Play with Nanai, an erotic virtual reality game produced in Japan, has proven to be a hit for the developer's adult game software company VRJCC, otherwise known as Virtual Reality Japanese Cherry Club.
Sex requires interaction, and compared to 2D games, virtual reality technology is more interactive as it gives users a totally immersive experience. Therefore, I think adult content can be a key driving force to push virtual reality into the mainstream.
The game uses a smartphone motion sensors and allows players to use any object to represent its erotic anime character Nanai in virtual reality, with whom they can simulate sex scenes. Still in Asia, Hong Kong holds InnoTech Expo to inspire youngsters' interest in science. The expo opened in Hong Kong on Sunday, displaying up to 130 exhibits featuring advanced technologies from both ancient and modern China. The expo also included an interactive area set up by the Chinese Academy of Sciences for visitors to learn more about cutting-edge science and technology through interactive games, as well as a Hong Kong section to exhibit works by local inventors.
The picture behind me has a TV set in it, but you wouldn't have guessed. If you love art, Samsung says they've created a TV that works just for you. When their frame TV is off, it looks like a piece of art. It might just be safe from burglars that are only looking for appliances, as it can't be spotted easily when it's off.
In essence, people use their TV for about 4 hours a day. So for the rest of the day, it sits completely blank on the wall. And the idea, I guess, came from turning that into a functional art piece whilst you're not watching TV, to add to the aesthetics of the home. If you don't like the artwork, you can go onto the art store, which is an application built into the TV. There are thousands of pieces of art, and we add into that really on a daily basis now. So you can download those, or you can add a subscription and pay a monthly account and have unlimited downloads of those accounts. If, however, you want to personalize the TV, you can share from your mobile device all of your personal pictures of family, pictures of the holiday. You can share that with a very interactive application on your mobile device. It's a UHD TV. It comes with 4K content generation. It's as good as any premium UHD TV that you would get. It comes with all of the technology that a premium UHD has. So it comes with a One Connect cable, which connects to a box. All of your devices, your decoder, your DVD player, your Blu-ray player, that's connected elsewhere, and it doesn't need to clutter up your living room. We've decided to go with two derivatives in South Africa. There's a 55-inch and a 65-inch. You're looking at 32,999 for the 55-inch and 44,999 for the 65-inch derivative.
Now, this week, our Twitter poll has been asking you if you think social media should be regulated. Now, 28% of respondents say yes, 64% say no, and there is 8% of the people who say they don't know. And that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network. Now that's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. newsnetwork@sabc.co.za. On email. We leave you with visuals of a Japanese smart mirror that will change shopping experiences. From me and the rest of the network team, have a good one. Bye-bye.